Hello, I want to put up a video, a replacement video, and it's about the fight in Kostiantynivka. I routinely mispronounce the name in the video, but I'm just going to put it up anyway because I think it's important. And uh, somebody pointed out that I'd actually put the wrong video up in its place, and I'm sorry about that. Kostiantynivka, in Ukraine's Donetsk Oblast, is now one of the most critical points on the Eastern Front. This is not simply a local battle. It's a fight that could determine the entire trajectory of Russia's offensive in the Donbass. Kostiantynivka forms part of a chain of four cities, Druzhkivka, Kramatorsk, and Slovyansk, that together make up the logistical and administrative backbone of Ukraine's defense in Donetsk. It sits at the southern and eastern end of this chain, connected by the TO504 highway to Pokrovsk in the southwest. If Russia takes Kostiantynivka, it gains a launch pad for assaults on the remaining Ukrainian-held north of Donetsk Oblast. Its loss would imperil the other three cities, potentially collapsing Ukraine's eastern defensive spine. After the fall of Bakhmut in 2023, one of the bloodiest battles of the war, Kostiantynivka seems an obvious next target, and Ukrainian counterattacks held the Russian offensive, held the Russians back along the Seversky Donetsk-Donbass Canal. In 2024, Russia shifted focus to the surrounding towns, Chasiv Yar in the northeast, Toretsk in the southeast. Both suffered massive destruction, yet Russian progress was painfully slow. By spring 2025, Moscow had launched a fresh push from the southwest, crossing the TO504 highway and threatening Pokrovsk directly. And this opened a direct axis of approach towards Kostiantynivka. As of August 2025, this is the current situation, Russia controls most of Chasiv Yar and has pushed within 6 kilometers of Kostiantynivka's outskirts in the southeast. The Ukrainian salient around the city is under pressure from three sides, a dangerous position if Russian advances continue westward. Key villages such as Yablunivka and Alexander Kalyonova have recently fallen to Russian forces squeezing Ukrainian logistics. It's not a classic tank and artillery battle. The front south of Kostiantynivka is defined by a duel between elite drone units, and Russia's Rubicon drone team specialize in long-range fiber-optic FPV drones able to hit targets far behind Ukrainian lines. This has forced Kyiv to change how it supplies frontline troops, shifting from vehicle convoys to drone-delivered logistics. Ukraine's Lyubut Brigade, formed from the Azov Brigade's 5th Battalion, operates bomber drones like the Kazan, the Bat, to deliver water, food, ammunition, and grenades directly to positions. And these drones also attack Russian infantry groups, now typically 1 to 5 men, infiltrating through tree lines rather than large armoured columns. Ukraine is suffering a critical shortage of infantry, even in elite brigades, and the shortage makes the front line porous. Small Russian units can slip through gaps before being hunted down by drones or mortars. Russian tactics, though costly, have a grim logic. By continually attacking and cutting supply routes, they force Ukraine to expend scarce manpower defending multiple sectors. And Ukrainian officers say delays in supplies are when the enemy makes their deepest gains. Frontline life for the Ukrainians is a 24/7 grind. Drone teams fly up to 20 missions a day with little rest, often under fire. Heavy bomber crews are now flying mostly in daylight, despite higher losses, because night flights are more easily intercepted by Russian FPVs tracking thermal signatures. And soldiers are surviving summer heat thanks to constant water deliveries, a lifeline entirely dependent on drones. Despite Russian advances in surrounding sectors, Ukrainian brigades like the Lyubut and Azov's 1st National Guard Corps are holding the high ground west of Toretsk and defending both sides of a large reservoir south of Kostiantynivka. And Russian casualty rates remain extremely high, over 1,000 a day on some weeks. And Ukrainian defences, though stretched, are still intact in key sectors. So what happens if Kostiantynivka falls? If Russia takes that city, Ukraine's entire North Donetsk defensive system would be compromised. Pokrovsk would be encircled, leading to a broader collapse in this part of the front. The Kremlin would claim a major symbolic and strategic victory before winter, boosting morale at home and strengthening Putin's bargaining position in any ceasefire talks. If Ukraine holds, the Russian offensive in Donetsk may stall, forcing Moscow into yet another long war of attrition with diminishing manpower and resources. It would also buy time for Ukraine to integrate new Western aid, weapons and training into its forces. The timing of this battle coincides with diplomatic maneuvering. Trump and Putin's Alaska meeting next week, where territory swaps are reportedly on the table. A Ukrainian defeat here would embolden those pushing for these concessions, and holding Kostiantynivka strengthens Kyiv's case that the front can be held without surrendering land. So this is an important area. It could determine what is bargained next week. The fight for Kostiantynivka is not yet the last stand in Donetsk, but it is a decisive moment. Its outcome will depend on three things. One, the resupply. Can Ukraine keep its defenders armed, fed and hydrated under constant drone threat? Two, the reinforcement. Will Kyiv commit fresh units before the city's defences buckle? And three, adaptation. Can Ukraine counter Rubicon's long-range drones as effectively as it adapted to Russia's armoured assaults? And every day Kostiantynivka holds is a day Russia's war machine bleeds manpower and resources, and every drone launched from its defenders is a reminder that even in the most high-tech war, the defensive factor remains the same as in every age. It's the will to resist.